Good evening, depending on where you are. Depending on where you are in the world, I am delighted to welcome you to our first Women in Tech live series, Growth Insights. My name is Ayumi Moraoki. I am the founder and the CEO of Women in Tech. I am based here in France today, and I'm going to be joined by someone very special. Her name is Monika Rizovska, and she used to be our director for North Macedonia, and I met her back in 2019, and it was our fourth chapter. And I remember so well because it was the beginning of Women in Tech. We really started in 2018, and she reached out because she wanted to open Women in Tech and bring it to North Macedonia. And I remember I went there, I flew all the way to Skopje, where she welcomed me with open hearts, with open arms. And I remember we did a beautiful launch, Monika, back then. When was it? It was in October 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And today you've been with us so many years, from right at the beginning, so there's how many, 7 years already? And today you are our global community director, taking care of our 500,000 community around the world. So thank you so much, Monika, for having this wonderful idea of doing these monthly insights, but I'm going to let you take the stage and explain a little bit more about what this is.
Thank you so much, Ayumi. I think everybody will agree with me that you are the sun that shines and brings everybody together. And as a metaphor for our sun. The growth insights are here, just like Ayumi is for us, to bring us the growth series, like in a monthly edition, where everyone can explore topics shape growth from leadership, careers, and well-being to technology, AI, and the future of work. Each month, we dive into a new theme and share fresh insights, practical takeaways, and real world perspectives to help you grow and grow with clarity and intention. And with us here today, we have amazing, incredible person that I met recently. But I will leave Ayumi to announce her since they know each other even longer.
Yes, thank you, Monica. And I'm so happy that you met Carolyn. So Carolyn, I must say that you are, I think, maybe the first person that really handed a land, that gave a hand out to women in tech. And I don't even know if you know really the story, because when it was, as I said, in 2018, we did our first event. We did the Women in Tech Global Awards back in Lisbon. It was so hard. My God, it was hard. But we had it done, we made it. And I met Candace. I met Candace Costa in Lisbon back in November 2018. And she says, come, let's do Women in Tech in London, in England. I said, okay. But if I come to England, in London, we have to do an event. Let's launch a chapter. Let's start something. And we didn't know where to start, who to ask. And then somehow, through friends, through connections, we ended up, you open up your office space. You welcomed us with open arms again. And this is really the beginning of the first chapter of Women in Tech was back in London, because you were our host. And it was such a success. And ever since, I've had this tremendous admiration for you, and I'm very grateful for everything you've done. So much that I also, we're lucky enough to have you as part of our advisory board, and today here as our first guests for this Women in Tech live session. So thank you so much, Carolyn Stebbins.
Thank you, Ayumi. It's a pleasure. I'm humbled to be here.
I'm going to leave you, Monica. Monica, come on back on stage. Let's have a three conversation.
Yes, I wanted to leave a space for you to just share the story, how you met and the contribution. But I want to leave now space for Carolyn. She's she's a transformation leader and coach. She has vast experience in the management field, but now she's focusing in one-on-one meetings and consultations. So I do want to emphasize the meaning of this session is that we invited Carolyn just because we want to kickstart this year with someone who's well experienced and who helped us a long time ago. And now we want her to actually help every other single woman and girl around the world. So who else if not Carolyn?
Yes.
So Carolyn, I will leave the floor now to you on how to achieve your 2026 growth.
Wow, thanks, Monica. That's a huge setup there. I hope I can live up to expectations.
Yeah, you will do that, of course. You helped us kickstart Women in Tech, and now you're going to be helping everyone with their growth insights for 2026.
Grand. Well, I'm going to share my document. Hopefully it will come up. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Thank you for whoever put that up. So just to add, if anybody's got any questions through this, if you post them in the chat, Monica's going to moderate them. And if we have time at the end, then I'll take some. So welcome to everybody that's on, whether that's morning, afternoon or evening. And thank you for your time and energy. I'm here in the UK, as Umi's already mentioned, in a sunny Bedfordshire today, since we've had cloud the rest of the week. This is lovely. This is on our side. Before we get into today's session, I'd like to spend just a minute just talking about why I care so much about this topic. As Monica said, I've spent over 20 years in senior leadership roles, largely operational, transformation, growth positions. I've worked at board and exec level. I've led through mergers, restructures, global delivery models, COVID, geopolitical disruption, and moments where, if I'm honest, none of us really knew what the answer was. But what I have learned is this: Growth rarely fails because people aren't capable. It fails because people aren't clear. They're not visible or kind to themselves through this journey. And I think women are particularly bad in this area. So I'm going to hopefully today walk you through just 3 very top things, but I just read this out to you, which is my career has been about people transformation all the way through the business growth, people at the heart of everything I've done. And I've seen firsthand how confidence, clarity, and momentum can completely change someone's trajectory. So what are we going to do today? So our focus is that what we're going to cover is deliberately simple today. It's not a silver bullet. It's food for thought. It's small things you can take away and see how they work for you. They're not theories, they're habits. And if you build habits, you build your growth. What I'd like you to think as we go through the next 40 minutes, reflection over perfection. Participation, if you want to, in this session is encouraged but not forced. So see if you can grab a pen and paper if you do want to participate. And then take what's useful. There are some takeaway tasks in here. Take them away. The things that you think are informative for you, leave the rest. So the 3 areas are going to be clear goal setting, visibility over perfection, and tracking performance to sustain momentum. Let's start with clear goal setting. If you really, really want to grow, really grow, you need to start with purpose. Without a clear and committed purpose, you'll find goals difficult when they feel like they're jarring. You know, when you get that project and it's just not quite jarring and you can't put your finger on it. I think that's because it's not aligning with your purpose. And if you haven't decided what your purpose is, the goal is difficult to achieve. Clear goals come from that clear purpose setting. I'll give you an anecdote here. Many years ago, I was asked in an interview what my purpose was. After a short reflection, I said it was about helping those from marginalised backgrounds be the best they could be. You're probably asking why, and that's because I was one of those people. I came from a marginalised background, and someone saw in me what I couldn't see myself. Over the years, my purpose has developed, not hugely, but it makes my decision-making easier when things get messy. And I think my purpose is the why and the goals are the how. Maybe think about it. High performers often burn out, not from effort, but from misalignment of what they are doing and who they are. So I'm going to move straight into a little exercise here around clear goal setting and setting your purpose. Now, you need your pen and paper, or you can do this as a mental math piece. I'm going to ask you 7 questions that relate to articulating your purpose, or whether you have one at the moment. Some of you may have heard of Dr. Christine Whelan. She is a purpose-led professor based in the US. And this is the 7 questions that she uses with her students and clients to get them to see where they are with their clear sense of purpose. There are 7 questions. I need you to score them in your head. 1, absolutely untrue. 5, absolutely true. And if you're not sure, because it's neither absolutely true or untrue, score a 3, sorry. At the end, I need you to add them up. Hopefully everybody's got that, because I'm not going to know whether you understood that particularly, but let's start with question 1. So question 1, I have discovered a satisfying life purpose. Score yourself a 1, 5, or 3. Question 2, I have a good sense of what makes my life meaningful. Question 3, my life has a clear sense of purpose. Question 4, I understand my life's meaning. Question 5, I enjoy making plans for the future and working to make them a reality. Question 6. I'm an active person in carrying out the plans I have set for myself. And finally, question 7. Some people wander aimlessly through life. I am not one of them. Add up your scores, divide it by 7. Hopefully you've managed to do that. In Christine's research, the average score comes out at about 3.4. In general, what it means is that folks don't have a clear sense of purpose. And when I first did this, I was only on a 3.5. If any of you have got 4.5 or above, you are lucky. You are truly blessed and likely to have a strong sense of purpose, even if you don't articulate it. This isn't about passing or failing. This is about awareness. So hopefully that is the first thing for you to take away in that exercise. Take that score and then think about how you might be able to improve it. So your takeaway task after this session, should this be one of the things you want to take with you, is build your purpose. Don't overthink it. Remember mine? Well, the evolution of that now is my purpose is to help everyone be the best they can be. It resonates with my values of authenticity, integrity, justice, and inclusivity. This sense of purpose has helped me because I know who I am today. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, I'm an advisor in every project I lead and in every engagement I take on. So your takeaway task, should you choose to do it, is to take that little sentiment there, fill in where the dots are. My purpose in life is to, it reflects my values of, and usually it's about 3 to 4 values. And that helps me make clear choices. And if you have that written down somewhere, that's your touchstone for everything that you do moving forward. And if your purpose helps you make one better decision in the following week, it's really working. And an added tip, it's also a great networking question rather than saying, oh, how far did you travel or what's the weather like? Okay, moving on to the second part, visibility over perfection. Let's face it, projects shift, ambiguity creeps in. Perfect plans rarely survive contact with reality. But the biggest risk isn't imperfection, it's silence. Think about it. If you're visible to your stakeholders, and your stakeholders can be anyone from your peers to your boss, to your project lead, to your client, to your team, to the organization that you work with. If you're visible, truly visible, then people see your credibility. They see you care. They see that you're engaged and they see you're accountable. And at the end of the day, stakeholders want honesty more than polish, whether they're senior, whether they're your team or the whole organization. Think about your visibility. This will help you grow. This will help you with your confidence. So let's do another little exercise here. You still got that pen and paper? I want you to draw a horizontal line from left to right with a number 1 on the left and a number 10 on the right. This is your visibility line. I've got an example here that will help you do this. So number 1 over here is where you're not visible at all. And number 10 is uber visible to those stakeholders who will appreciate, reward and recognize you for the work that you do and the way you engage them. So what I want you to think about is if you picked a stakeholder, here my example is a project sponsor. And where you mark today is what is your visibility today. So in this instance, I've said with the project sponsor, it's a 3 because my visibility engagement with that person is an emailed monthly status update. Where I'd like it to be is an 8. So then you list what is it that you would make that shift. What changes do you need to have to make to go from a 3 to an 8? So you might say, okay, well, instead of emailing the monthly status, I should do an in real life monthly status. I should send them a weekly RAG update. So where are we on all the key aspects of this project? And also send them those in the moment updates. Your a team member has done something exceptional. Send an email to your project sponsor about what that team member has done, how that's impacted on the project. Remember, at the end of the day, none of this is about ego. All of this is proof. All of this is evidence. And that's something we'll come back to later. So I don't know how you're getting on with that. If you're doing that yourself now, you need to be honest, otherwise it doesn't work. Honesty about where your visibility is with them today. And of course, it could be that you're a bit fearful of them because they don't feel very warm. It might be that you need to think about a tone of your engagement. Are you part of a group that engages with that person? Then find one-to-ones to do with that person. Is your tone formal or informal? And would a change in your tone make a difference? If it's a group of people, do you have open forums where at the moment you just rely on email? Being more confident and action orientated in your narrative when you speak and when you write. All these things will help with your visibility. So I expect you're sort of thinking about now what your takeaway task will be. And what I'd like you to do here, if you feel this is something that resonates for you, this is something that you feel that you could improve on, is first and foremost to create a stakeholder map. And your stakeholders aren't just your line management. I think quite often people think, well, I've got to make sure that it's my line manager that sees everything. But if your team are motivated and brought in and you've got good visibility with them, they see you as supporting them, you grow naturally out the back of that. Clients, the same way. If you have a client base, make sure that they are on your stakeholder list. Or your broader community, if it's an organization, whether it's a not-for-profit or whether it's a corporate one, there will be miniature communities within a greater organization, and they will all want different messages. Plot them all. Create a little workbook on this is where I am with this individual, this stakeholder now. This is where I want to be. Each one of the visibility tactics will be different for each stakeholder. But trust me, it will really build your confidence. It will really raise your visibility with those individuals. And then the thing I want you to do is, once you've done that, is to have a look, take a moment of reflection and see where there are regular things. I think I might have written that on the previous one, is what do I notice? What do I notice when I start to do this with all stakeholders? Is there a pattern where I tend to just email people? Well, get in real life meetings, or even if you're remote because you're on a global organization or a global team, make sure you have FaceTime on Teams, on Zoom, whatever your app of choice is. Don't just rely on email. We get so many and they become impersonal. You need to have that personal aspect to it. And if you need to make those changes, a bit like my example, going from one thing that's quite static and passive through to doing 3 things that are much more active, when are you going to start doing them? And I can only tell you this will really bring benefits to you. I quite often use this particular tool when I'm getting people to build their own profile. I have often over the years had people say to me, oh, you know, I really did very well on X project, but it was Bill who went off and told everybody he did it, and now he's getting all the claim and fame for it. Well, if the actual facts were that you led that project, you pulled people together, you should find a way of telling people that you've done that. Build your credibility, build your visibility, build your confidence out the back of that. Remember, small changes compound, and consistency builds trust faster than grand gestures. I think we often think that it's the big launch of a project at the end that makes the difference. I know myself as a senior leader, I haven't just wanted to start a project and see the big reveal at the end. I've wanted those regular updates as we've gone along. So, into tracking performance, our third topic for growth. Ever been in that review appraisal and it's only been based on the last 3 months? I know I have. Ever been knee deep in a project and you can't see the wood for the trees? Or the thing that everyone remembers is the thing that happened yesterday and it happened to not be very good? And women particularly do this. We're quick to say, oh, it wasn't me, it was someone else in the team, or no, that wasn't really that good. We're not good at taking compliments. I come back to what I said earlier on. Tracking progress, talking about facts and evidence isn't ego, it is facts and evidence. And as long as you're not talking about it in an overly inflated way, that is the way to help you grow and build your credibility. Tracking performance as well shouldn't just be about our professional life. We are a whole. You know, I never cease to be amazed by people that say, I want a work-life balance. Life is everything. It's home and it's work. We don't walk through the door, not that many people do that these days with a hybrid work environment, but metaphorically, there's not many of us that walk through the door into our working environment and forget that we're a mother, daughter, father, brother, son, got lots of caring responsibilities, learning to do a different degree. You go into work carrying those burdens too. So bring them together. Tracking our performance should be both the gratitudes in life as well as the progressions in life and the progressions for our work. So this exercise, I think you may have seen before. Grab that piece of paper again and get you to draw another line. This one I haven't got. Oh, I do have an example afterwards, but I'll show you the example afterwards because it's easy enough to do. Take your piece of paper, draw a line from the top to the bottom in the center. In column 1 at the top, I want you to write gratitudes. And at the top of column 2, I want you to write the word progressions. And I want to give you a couple of minutes to get you to write 1 to 3 things under each header. They don't have to be extraordinary or groundbreaking. We often forget it's the little things that compound. A couple of examples might be from a gratitude perspective was that I got a seat on the train this morning to be able to get into work, or I've been able to support a colleague through a tough time. And on the progression side, it might be that we had a very calm meeting, which normally is one that doesn't go very well. Or that you got a thank you email from your stakeholder. It really is the small things that matter because momentum is built daily. And if you build up that book or app or notes or recordings on your phone of the gratitudes and the progressions that you make every day, when you come to that review, you'll have it there. Leave a bit of space for you to have a bit of a think about that for those of you that are participating. It's always weird when you ask someone to do an exercise and you can't see anyone. And I'm just hoping you're all sitting there and actually giving this a go. It's not always easy the first time. So here was my example that I built earlier on. So on my gratitude side, got a seat on my commute. The kids got themselves dressed this morning without me asking them 10 times, which just puts us in a bad mood before we even start work. And my team told me how much they're enjoying the work that they're doing at the moment and the team dynamic. On the progression side, it could be there's a great status meeting with the steerco, that we resolved an issue in the target times and now we've got a mitigation plan to prevent a reoccurrence. You know, that might be seen as a negative, but it's a positive because it was managed well. And that we recruited a great addition to the team that will ease the workload on everybody else and keep us on track. So you can see none of them are groundbreaking, but they all add up to a bigger picture of progression, gratitude, motivation, momentum, confidence, credibility. And 1 to 3 things daily only takes 5 minutes. Do it before you go to bed. Do it on that commute on the way in. Paper, phone, or app. Make it a habit. So you've probably guessed it, your takeaway task. Please do that. Get yourself a journal, use your phone notes. I have an app for my coaching that is a voice recorded one that is AI generated, so I get the notes out the back of it. There's a plethora of ways that you can do this, but just 5 minutes a day. 1 to 3 gratitudes, 1 to 3 progressions. And do it for at least 7 days. After 7 days, you'll start to see some themes, you'll start to pick up on some core facts that are in there. And if you're having a down day, go back in the middle of the day, look at those gratitudes, look at that progression. And again, it builds momentum, it builds confidence. If you really want to make it a habit, you've got to do it for 16 days though. So it will be great to know. Someone send me a LinkedIn to say, I did it for 16 days. I can't imagine not doing it now. It's really made a difference to my life. So, key benefits from this: confidence and emotional resilience, both prerequisites for personal and professional growth. This particular one I did use in an NHS workshop I did back before Christmas up in Leeds, and it went really, really well. It was the one thing that people sat there and said, oh, this is really helpful. It's so simple, you know, it's not a silver bullet, but now I know that if I keep that email from one of my stakeholders, I can stick it in that book. If I write my 1 to 3 things every day, it keeps me motivated in a moment of ambiguity, or it gives me the evidence when I come to my review to be able to say to my boss, don't just look at the project that I did in the last 3 months. Think about that fantastic thing I did in the 9 months before that. So we're coming to a close. And my closing thought is, remember what growth is about. It really is about consistency over intensity. You'll build confidence and momentum if you create habits and exercise those muscles. It's just like going to the gym. And I have to say, little sort of like TMI now, but I've been to the gym every day since the 1st of January, bar 2 days. And those 2 days, it made me feel really down. And that's one of my big goals this year, my sense of purpose for myself, my how can I make myself a better person, is to improve my fitness. And that has a knock-on effect to everything else as well. I hope you've enjoyed today's session. And if any of you are at crossroads in your career, wherever you are in the world or life, want help in creating a new growth plan, I'm happy to offer a 3 coaching session for the cost of 2 for anyone on here. Just contact me through LinkedIn and refer to this session. I'd like to invite Monica back now to see if there are any questions to answer, or maybe with the time we've got left, we could just have a 2-way chat about things.
Definitely. I just want to remind everyone that they are able to ask questions in a chat, and we're going to ask them soon. And until I collect all the questions till now, just a reminder, like feel free to, we have at least at least 20 minutes to answer all the questions. So ask questions in the chat, and let us know how you, or what gave you like interesting insights from Caroline's presentation. I'm sure she would like to know. And before going deeper in the questions from the chat, this is more about you, but what does a successful 2026 look like for you, Caroline? And have you used maybe AI tools in order to help you to bring some clarity in your lives? What is your opinion on using technology also whenever you're shaping your next goals and so on?
I think starting from the reverse end of that question, AI, I think, is an amazing tool. I think people are scared of it rather than maybe dipping their toe in the water. Is it perfect? No. Can it do everything, particularly when you're talking about transforming people or the people aspect? No. But if you use it in the way to help you be more efficient, bit like me saying my reflections on my coaching, I record in the morning when I'm walking the dog. So I'm multitasking as well. And then when I get back, it puts it into the format that I've already chosen as a template. So all of my coaching sessions then look the same. They're all repeated in the same way, but I'm, rather than me having historically handwritten them down, then typed them up, which is all very laborious, AI helps so much more, and it gives hints and tips at the end. Oh, do you want to, given that this situation, do you want to change the template? Or would you like me to draw this out from something else? So that's the answer to the AI question. I feel now like normally these things, this session that we've just done, I normally run out of time. But now I'm thinking I could have put a fourth thing in rather than leaving it to 3. And what are my goals for this year? Oh, well, my goals for this year are really to get my coaching business much more on track, because until now I've done it as a bit of a sideline to my corporate career. So I want that to take off more. I would like to do another advisory role. I'm applying for them at the moment. And interestingly, that goes back to my sense of purpose. I really want to try and do it with an organization where I'm helping people that really do need support and direction on being the best that they can be, as opposed to doing it in a corporate where it's just revenue and trading figures on a weekly basis. So that would be my goal there. I'm a chair of governors at a school, and my head teacher resigned on the 1st of January. And I had no idea that as head of governors, I have to run the whole recruitment process. So that's been really exciting, but trepidatious, because I've been a governor overall for about 12 years, and I've only been a chair for the last 5. And this is quite a big task. I've had to write a job description, write a person specification, but it shows it doesn't matter what you do, where you get to, there's always something new to learn. And AI, picking up on your AI thing, that's been really useful in that, because I've gone, this is all the stuff I want to say. Now, can you put it into a format that's easily digestible for any prospect?
Wow, thank you, Caroline. It sounds like exciting period, especially the newest challenge.
Yeah.
There's one question. I think it's interesting, and we should ask it. How do you track progress in a way that keeps motivating you? What is your suggestion on tracking the progress for our goals in a way that it won't, always bring a negative feeling, that it will reinforce us to do it even more? Like how do you gamify the process of setting the goals?
Okay, so it relates a little bit to doing the gratitude and progressions thing. And actually, what I'm going to tell you about, you can do with your families. I do this with my boys. I've got 16-year-old twin boys, and still now, if we sit round at the table and they can come home from school and they can be a bit down, and you can do, it's a good party trick type thing, and it's great with teams, is if you start a meeting off, is what went well today, or what went well since we last met. So you make everyone think of something positive. And psychologically, if you've talked about something that's gone well in the last week, it's very hard for the body or the mind to then go into a negative mindset. So that's a way of staying positive and keeping momentum up.
Perfect. I just want to push everybody to ask questions because this is the time. There's one question. How do you keep yourself accountable?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Mm.
I like to be accountable.
Mm.
I think as humans, we're very bad at staying accountable. And one very simple one that I think could be seen as guilting you into accountability is telling someone else what you're going to do.
Mm.
So going back to the stakeholder thing within a work environment, you tell your sponsor for your project, myself and my team commit to doing this by these deadlines. And because you've verbalized it and you've written it down, you can't, it's very hard as human beings then to step away from that. As soon as you commit to something, you know, even if it's doing a marathon or reading so many books in the year or anything that you really want to do, if you want to stay accountable to it, tell somebody else and potentially give them permission to say to you, have you done what you said you were going to do? Oh, I can't hear you, Monica.
Yes, thank you for the advice. I have to mention that I'm usually having like a buddy, as you mentioned, like someone that could remind you and maybe check up on you. But that could be someone who's your friend, your partner, and it's really nice. I usually use Google Calendar for reminders, like just to remind me that I also need to think on myself, like where are your goals, like just like manifestation. And there's one question from Nina Moller, who came at the moment. Can you please give your best advice on how to amplify your impact?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. And I think this comes back to that visibility point. So this is about building your own brand and building your profile. So whatever your impact is, and I don't know what she's specifically talking about, but say it's the end of a project or say it's something that she's achieved. There's a number of points here. There's no one particular thing, but write in the email to the people that could be most impacted by it. And you don't have to brag, you just have to say, thought you'd like to know, this has just happened. If you want more information, let me know and I can walk you through it. So an email is one. Another way of doing it is to publicize it in other ways, whether you put it on LinkedIn or whether you put it on any other sort of social channel you may have within your work environment. It's not, I go back to, it's not bragging if it's fact. And then something else that I would urge everybody to do, particularly within growing themselves professionally, and I really try hard to do this at least once a week, is introduce one person to another person. Like I said, like I connected you with Dami in Nigeria the other week. I've done that again this week to the Nigerian chapter lead. So I've introduced those two as well. And if you can introduce someone so that it broadens their network, that is also a way of increasing your impact, because they may remember you for something and invite you along. And I think that's a hugely important thing to do for people that are young coming into the industry. I wrote this recently for Digidata, which is an organization here, and they said, what's the one piece of advice you would give to someone new coming in, or to someone in the business for someone new? And I said, well, if it's the only thing you can do is introduce them to someone their own age that you know, or introduce them to a seasoned professional in the industry. And because you've done it, that person feels less inclined to say no, but then they've got, the person you've introduced them to has got 2 new contacts, 2 new people they can network with, 2 new people that they can show and build their impact with.
I have to say that it came in the right moment when you introduced it, and it was very hard and welcoming email. So thank you for that, Carolyn, because it sends the message that you're thinking of us, and it's really it's a nice feeling, definitely.
Well, there was a connection there. The things you do within education and bringing it in a new way was exactly what she's doing. So why wouldn't I connect you? You'll both benefit in that way.
Yeah, thank you. Well, some people won't, but you did it, like, you are a really good example for that. There are many questions, to be honest, so we have to start from like asking, maybe answering them a little bit faster. So there's one question from Victoria. She's asking, how do you avoid burnout trying to achieve growth and do so many things at once?
That's, again, another very good question. And my simple answer to that is set yourself boundaries. We're very bad as humans, even worse as women, at setting boundaries. But you have to do that for your own benefit. And, you know, all of you will have heard what I'm about to say. What do they say on an aircraft? Put your own oxygen mask on before you put a child's on. And that's what you need to remember. Set yourself boundaries so you don't burn out and you can still maintain doing several things. Going back to your values, though, if you've got a purpose statement and you know what your values are, sometimes you have to say no.
It's a really nice example. And nowadays there is like a fear of missing out, and it's really hard to stay aligned and have clarity. There are two more questions. The first one is, what's the name of the app you use?
Oh, I'd have to look it up on my phone's over there. You know, when you end up using something so regularly you can't remember. I want to say CAS, but I don't think that's right. I think I'm thinking of something else.
We can
Q. CUE.
Q. Okay. We can post it to the people so they can see directly. Thanks, Carolyn. And there's one more question. Can you give us some advice on identifying your purpose, your own purpose? This is a really good question too.
I think this is something that it can be really tough to get started, but I would say the first thing you should sit and do with a piece of paper and a pen is write down what's important to you, and then think about what are the values behind that. I always remember someone saying to me, one of their values is happiness. And I said, well, I don't really think happiness is a value. I think happiness is an outcome of living your values. Because if you live your life authentically and with integrity, then hopefully you'll be happy. I don't really think happiness is a value in its own right. But I think you need to sit there with a piece of paper. I used to do this with teams, client teams and agency teams, when they didn't really know each other very well. And I would give them, how would you describe yourself using values? And then give them 2 minutes to just write on a piece of paper as a stream of consciousness. And then you'd be surprised what comes out from a stream of consciousness. You can develop your values, as I say, no more than 3 or 4. You can look up values online. And then from that, you'll determine really what your purpose is. What is it? I said to, actually, I spoke to Karim yesterday, and I was saying to her about, if you're an individual who has suffered within your family, I don't know, with gambling abuse, for example, you've maybe somebody in your family lose their home and their whole life through gambling, but you work in a marketing services environment, or a job comes up at a gambling house and you go and work at that gambling house. To me, that's a conflict. That's not living your values. if you actually feel like people shouldn't gamble and you've seen the pain that's come from, that's splitting yourself in two. So I think look at your inner self. What guides you? What makes you decide that who that you will engage with, the products that you buy, the life that you lead? You'll come up with your values, you'll come up with your purpose out the back of that. Does that help?
Definitely, it definitely helps. Um, there are no more questions, so now I'll ask, like, can you give us the last piece of advice? Like, if you need to restart and doing your vision board, or setting up your goals, or redefining yourself, like finding the new identity, rediscovering yourself, what would you do?
I think I'd do what I was just talking about, do a bit of sort of just unconscious, sort of like stream of consciousness, just to say, stream of consciousness writing. I think most people know what they want to do. They just put excuses in the way. Like, oh, I'll do that when I'm retired. Oh, I don't have enough money to do that. And they're excuses. I think what you have to do is you have to say to yourself, what I want to do is spend more time with my family. What I want to do is I want to get promoted. When do you want to do that? Oh, I want to be able to done that by the end of the year. Okay, you put that in for December the 28th, and then you work back and you say, what do I need to have done between January the 28th and December the 28th in order to have achieved that? Because if all you do is think about the here and now, you'll never have a roadmap to get to that end goal. So you break it down. And what is in my control and what isn't in my control? Lots of people get hung up on, oh, I really, really want to do this, but I can't do that. And it's because that's not in your control. Do what's in your control.
Wow. And any last advice you would give us, like from like when you're starting yourself, if you had to change something, like mine are usually like always do your best, like be mindful of your circle of people around you, and because the goals itself are, well, but you have to be surrounded with people who push you to do even furthermore, as you mentioned, like to have a companion who actually reminds you. What is your last advice on how to make it happen?
I think there's a couple of points there. Is surround yourself with positive people. I don't know if this completely translates globally, but I tend to talk about drains and radiators. So you have some people that drain the energy out of you. They can't see a positive thing going on in the world. And then you have radiators, people that are really positive. Even when things aren't going quite well for them, they will think of a positive thing that could come out. So surround yourself with more radiators than you do drains would be one of the big things I would say. And the other one is, particularly if you're starting out, and I remember doing this, and I remember a lot of my peers thinking I was completely off my rocker nuts. Every time a new sort of project would come in, I'd say, oh, I'll do that. I wouldn't have the foggiest. I would be terrified inside of messing something up. But what that meant was that when a new project came up in the future, someone would tap me on the shoulder and say, do you want to be part of this working group? Do you want to be part of this new sort of like incubator? Whereas if I'd have just sat back and done the job that I was paid to do, I probably wouldn't have got to where I got to and be able to do as many things as I do. So raise your hand and say, I'll do it.
I'll definitely do it. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Now it's time to close the growth sessions, but I want to remind everybody, and also thanks before ending it. I just want to say thank you so much for Carolyn for accepting to be our first and number one growth insight trainer with us. I also want to ask one more question, Carolyn. Like, you have vast experience with one-on-ones, consultations with women. What is your advice on that? You kind of feel like that there are some that it's continuously I would say continuously happening in all your meetings. That I think usually it's about confidence and so on. Like, what would you want us as women leaders, well, girls in tech and so on, to be better on during this 2026?
Be more confident about your contribution. I cannot tell you how many times women have said to me at every level is, well, I'm really terrified that someone's going to tell me I'm rubbish, or I'm not going to get that next project, or someone's just going to sideline me. And I quite often turn around and say, do you really think you would have been given the job you've been given if you were that bad? You've been given the job you've been given because you're good. Remember you're good and build on that. So have confidence in who you are, and what you bring.
Perfect. Wow. Again, thank you so much, Caroline. It's a pleasure to know you in person, and I'm really happy that now all our women in tech around the world are able to meet you and discover and hear more about you and your advice. In general, I want to invite them to connect with you on LinkedIn and maybe even ask you further more questions. If not, ask questions in the chat and we're gonna answer them soon. Caroline, I would really love to see the results after 1 year, like to see what happened and how this training impacted everybody here. But in general, I want to remind everybody that Growth Insight will happen once per month. We're going to have a few more interesting speakers in February. Stay tuned with us. We're going to go live again. And the idea behind this kind of open webinars is to have more interactions, to gather more and to build more even relationships, as Caroline mentioned, with impact, to connect even furthermore, whether by email, whether by this kind of series. So bear with us, stay with us, inspire us, give us feedback, and if you have suggestions, feel free to add them. And until the next time, thank you once again, Caroline, and stay amazing as you are.
Thank you, Monica, and I wish you every luck with the program. Take care, everybody.
And see you at the Women in Tech Global Summit.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye, everybody. And don't forget to join us at our community on withh.com. You actually always have to see the ticker below. And you're going to find it in the chat. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe in order to get more notifications for the next summit. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.